G'day guys, ZiggyD here and welcome back to ZiggyD Trades. This is for day 5 and 6. I skipped a video on a day because it was kind of a bit messy with PoE Trade's API being down. Grinding Gear Games just implemented these quad tabs here, these quadruple sized tabs, and that broke the API for a while, which broke PoE Trade, and trading was a little off for a little while, though there was some interesting opportunities that were presented as a result. As is tradition, let's start this video with a mistake, something that I have realized now in hindsight I should have done better, I could have done better. In this case, I've been farming a lot of the breaches, and my mistake was in not selling the breach blessings, one of the significant drops from these breaches, these guys over here, I think I have one left, not selling them as soon as possible before I finish my day. So essentially what was happening with these guys is the blessings of Tul, Esh, and Zoth, the elemental breach lords, okay, so those breaches are fairly easy to run, right? Like, most people are going to be able to get in and give those a go. People are going to be doing it for the challenges, people are going to be doing it for fun, people are going to be doing it to try and farm and, you know, get some cool uniques or get some currency for themselves. And they're very achievable. Like, they're early end game content, essentially. So very achievable content. And as a result, what was happening was I would have a couple of blessings left over, like let's say blessings of Zoth, and they'd be about 11 chaos. And I would be like, okay, all right, I didn't sell those yet, I'll just leave them up at 11 chaos. I wasn't trying to undercut people, I was just trying to sell them at like market value, which was around that 11 chaos. If I had put them up for 10 chaos, they might have sold pretty quickly instead. And then when I woke up in the morning, you know, and got on like 8-9 hours later, they dropped to like 7 or 8 chaos. So I lost several chaos on each blessing that I had, which might have been like 4 or 5 blessings. And this happened 2 days in a row as well. I lost 4 or 5 chaos each night on each blessing that I had, and I would have had like 2 or 3 chaos. So I lost like half an exalt in value just because I didn't try and sell those guys as quickly as possible. Now, I've been taking this approach this league of trying to not undercut things, which has always been my habit, is to undercut things quite a bit and just go for the fast sales, right? I always want snappy, quick currency now so I can buy upgrades for my character. This league, I'm taking a much more longer-term approach. You know, I'm pacing myself a little bit more. I'm getting real value for things, and overall, that's been working really well. You really don't need to undercut a lot of things. And I'll probably work on this topic a bit more and share some more insights into when you should undercut and when you should not. But this is definitely a lesson of one example of when you should undercut, and that is when content is something that the bulk of people are going to start migrating into. So if you're a bit of ahead of let's say 50% of people, or it doesn't really matter, if you're ahead of a big enough block of people in terms of getting into some content, let's say you get into Adsiri early on, then you can make a premium on those items in those first couple hours or days, or in that first week or whatever. But once other people start getting into that content, and I should have recognized that around day 5 and 6, that's when a lot of people would have been getting to endgame and getting into this, then the prices will start to fall because more and more people will be starting to farm it. So you might get things like Adsiri's Promise being worth like 5 to 10 C in the first couple days, but starting to drop really quickly. And if you held on to a lot of Adsiri's Promises, not trying to sell them at a lesser rate at the time, but still a greater rate than what they would drop to, then you can end up making a lot of losses on that. So if I had undercut and sold my Blessings of Zoth, for example, for 10 C instead of 11 C, then I still would have made another 3 chaos profit on each one of those ones that I had to end up selling them. Now, it hurts doubly bad as well because the Breachstone prices are based, well, no, they're kind of linked together, right? The Breachstone prices and the blessings are linked together because the Breachstones are often about half the price of a blessing. So, and the drop rate seems to be about 50-50 on these guys. So if I'm paying something like 7 chaos for a Breachstone and then getting a blessing that's worth 14 chaos, and then not selling it, and then the price of the blessing drops to 11 chaos, well, then I am going to be making a loss on my Breachstone investments as well. So that kind of hurts doubly as bad. So that was the lesson I learned there. So try and be a bit more aggressive on selling things that are quite likely to drop in value and try and recognize those trends. So that was the lesson there. Now let's get into some of my purchases and sales over the past 2 days. As I said, PoE Trade was all kinds of crazy. Basically, I got like 50-something messages for a pair of Wanderlust that I sold because PoE Trade just wasn't updating. So it was a bit of a nightmare. There's been a few moments like that this league with the API screwing up with the sheer amount of people, and then again with the quad tabs. But nonetheless, let's have a look at some things that I bought. I made an investment in my character. You may see that I'm wearing a Doriani's. I paid 2x and 30 chaos for this, which at the time was 146 chaos. So this is above the cheapest Dorianis you could be getting. I could have bought cheapest Dorianis for maybe 2x, maybe a little bit under 2x. If I had, you know, put some offers in on some 2x listed Dorianis. But I wanted a good one. I wanted a good Dorianis here. I wanted to invest in one that's going to be a lot better. So I got this one here that has perfect cast speed and very good elemental damage, and I bought that for 146C. And this is an investment in my character that is a pretty big investment, and is definitely going to cost me money for some time, unless this is the difference between me getting to, say, farming Chayula and making some profits on that, which is what I'm going to attempt today. So hopefully this ends up paying off, and I'll probably report back in on that, how my character goes, how I end up farming Chayula, and whether that ends up being profitable, probably in the next episode. But that is a fairly significant investment, and definitely well worth mentioning. So let's have a look at some of the other random things that I bought. With my previous lesson taken into account, I ended up buying a few Exalts as well. I bought these at, I think they were at 55 chaos each. That looks like 120 chaos. 60 chaos each? Oh, 60 chaos each. Okay, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, and 12. Yeah, okay, that's 60 chaos each. Let's have a look at whether the market values have changed on that today at all. Yeah, they're still sending a 60 chaos, so I probably ended up, you know, learning that lesson a little bit too late. And they might go up a little bit more, but it'll probably only be like several chaos over the, like, you know, as we get further and further in the league, they start to approach standard values, which is... but this is way too early for this to be going 75. But, you know, they're eventually going to start climbing towards that, so it's still good that I bought some Exalts, but I definitely could have done that early when they're at, like, you know, in the mid-40s or in the early 50s or something like that. I got in a little bit late with that, for sure. But, you know, I guess, in this case at least, better late than never. Here's some other purchases that I made, some much nicer ones. I started keeping an eye on Chaos Resistance Breach Rings. I was thinking about breach rings and what the purpose of them is, and the purpose of them is to farm breaches, obviously. Now you can use things like Vile Breach and farm regular content with breach rings, and there'll be some desire for them for that. But my goal is to end up farming Chayula, right, and to do so as soon as possible. And he's a Chaos Breach Lord, so I wanted to start getting some Chaos Resistance. So I started keeping an eye on some Chaos Breach Rings and just buying up any ones that looked pretty good, so that I could eventually put some on my character. And what we got here was a 2 Chaos Breach Ring. I think this is a very good purchase for 2 Chaos. This is essentially, you know, 56 Chaos Resistance and 140-ish life, with bonus rarity scaling as well, and a bit of lightning res, so it makes it easier to gear. 2 Chaos, I think that was a great purchase. Here's another one that I bought for 3 Chaos. This one has physical damage, so it's going to be very popular with the Blade Flurry types, and the life, and then the Chaos Resistance once again. So I'm looking for things with like over 28 Chaos res, so 28 to 30 Chaos res, and you know, and then that's essentially doubling to 60, and one of those brings you into positive Chaos res, and then 2 of those basically caps you, so especially if you've got like a little bit of Chaos res from the tree, like a lot of builds do. This was a Flame Blast helmet. This is probably going to be one of my most profitable purchases this league. This is a Flame Blast helmet that I bought for 6 Chaos, 25% increased Flame Blast damage, and like a decent-ish ES helmet, right? Like, this is pretty decent. It's got 250 ES, which could certainly be higher. There's no flat ES on this, right? But it's got Tri-Res. The res rolls are pretty low, but it's also got rarity. Like, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. I was very strongly considering actually using this. Even though it doesn't have any life on it, I was like, it would be a shame to roll over that energy shield, and I put it in my price tab, but I didn't actually put a price on it, right? I just put it in there for quite some time. And I was thinking, all right, eventually I might try and sell this. Just because I don't think I can roll over those stats. Like, the stats are a bit too good for me to roll over to try and reroll life on it. Just for 25% Flame Blast damage, I can probably buy another one for cheaper and do that. So I ended up deciding to price it, and I was going to price it, and but then I got a message, like, before I actually went to price it, and the offer was 50 Chaos. I was like, whoa! So I did indeed end up, and if we go to my sold here, I did indeed end up selling this for 50 Chaos after buying it for 6, so 46 Chaos profit is a very, very good profit on that. What I think happened here was this guy kind of like crafted this or found it or alked it or something like that, or maybe just purchased like a bit of a hubris circlet just to get his Energy Shield CI character started. And then he ran Merciless Lab and got the Flame Blast damage, because that's the Merciless Lab enchant. And then he got an upgrade. He got a better helmet. Like, he bought maybe he wasn't even a Flame Blaster, right? Maybe it was Blade Flurry or some other build. And then he got Flame Blast, and he's like, okay, I'll just resell it for a few C, because maybe he bought it for like 4C or something, right? and then he resells it for 6C, which made sense to him, and he ended up making a profit on his. But without realizing just how valuable that Flame Blast enchant would be on there with those decent stats. And as a result, I got sold it for 50C. I actually got, like, about an hour later after selling this, I got a message, because PoE Trade was still broken. I got a message from a guy wanting to buy it as well, and I said that I already sold it, and he asked how much I had sold it for. I said 50C, and he was like, what? Like, laughing. And I was like, oh, like, is that, like, what, did you think it was worth more or less? And he goes, I think it was worth more than that. So maybe this could have been worth, like, an X.5 or something like that. I don't know, but I was pretty happy with my 46C profit. I don't mind if the guy goes on to resell it who bought it off me for an even greater profit, then I still made a good profit, so I don't mind. But very, very profitable purchase just there. Not too bad at all. And definitely keep an eye out for that, right? If you have like an okay-ish rolled helmet and you run Merciless Lab, it's easy to think that people only want Uber Enchants, and like eventually you want to perfect your character with Uber Enchants. But a 25% Flame Blast damage helmet, or, you know, for whatever popular skill from Merc Lab, is still going to be valuable. So when you run Merciless Lab and enchant your helmet, then, which is what you should be doing, ideally, you can like enchant your boots and stuff if they don't have a boot enchant. Sometimes I do that, but enchanting your helmet still has potential to, you know, actually give you a profitable resale on your helmet when you go to upgrade it afterwards. So, and that's something to keep an eye out for. As my Doriani's purchase. This was this is probably on the level of that helmet purchase, actually, in terms of insane purchases. I can't believe this thing. So when PoE Trade's API got fixed, what happened was everybody who had listed in the hours while PoE Trade had been broken, their listings hadn't really been showing up. So they list up their items and they just sat there without getting any offers or anything like that. So then when PoE Trade started catching up after the API was fixed, it started like listing all these items that hadn't been listed previously. The market just started flooding, and my whoops, my PoE Trade notifications, live searches, were just going crazy. So I got several notifications for Chaos Rings in a row, and then this one came up for 3 Chaos. So I bought this for 3 Chaos. Now, this is an example of an insane breach ring. It is absolutely insane, and I'm probably going to try and sell this for somewhere in the 1 to 2x range. I haven't sold it yet. But weapon elemental damage doubles to 64 weapon elemental damage, huge amount of damage scaling, with the lightning damage, which is the perfect pairing. So that's 4 to 46 lightning damage in addition to that 64 weapon elemental damage scaling. It's got a good life roll, so 130 max life inside a breach, and then 60 chaos res inside a breach as well. Not to mention that it makes gearing easier because it's got dexterity and intelligence on it. This thing is insane. I could actually just use this and ignore the weapon elemental and the lightning damage, but I think it's way better value for me to try and sell it. So I'm going to try and sell that, but just an example of like a crazy, crazy purchase there. So that one is going to be some huge profits and just a very, very sexy ring. Oh my god, that ring. Right? You guys know. But that's an example of what you should be looking out for on breach rings, by the way. This is like an ideal example of what you should be looking for on breach rings. Because with regular resists, like I said before, they're not really worth doubling because you're just going to get yourself capped anyway. But with chaos res, that's actually worth doubling because people don't typically cap their chaos res. So these stats, except the dexterity and intelligence, are all great for doubling. The dexterity and intelligence you get minor benefits from for doubling, but these ones are all sick doubled stats, so pretty damn insane. And that is it for our purchases. Let's take a look at what sales we end up getting. I was running breach maps, and I got an Abyssus. Not bad. Just ended up selling that for 65C. Pretty good. That sold pretty quickly, and there's a lot of people who are playing Blade Flurry and using Abyssus now, so that's just a brag. This is just a brag post. There's not much to learn from this. I just got an Abyssus and sold it. Yay. Good monies. This was kind of like a second lesson to my trying to sell these things from the breaches, the blessings, faster. I ended up upgrading one of the lightning. I think this is the cold amulet, actually. Sorry, I didn't end up highlighting it. Ended up upgrading one of the cold amulets, which was worth a pretty good amount when I upgraded it, but I didn't sell it before I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning and it had dropped like 10 chaos. So I ended up selling this for 18 chaos, which was overall like a loss. So that's unfortunate, but just a second kind of additional bit to that lesson that I'd learned. I listed, this is an example of a mistake. I listed this amulet up for 2 chaos and instantly got some messages for it. And yeah, I mean, I do think this was worth more, but I don't know how much more. Like, I still look at this and think, I mean, yeah, it's got weapon elemental damage and some resistances and some life, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay. But I think I actually got like several messages for this. But I guess maybe this is worth something like 5C or something. I really would struggle to imagine it's worth more than that. I'm curious what you guys think, but it did sell like way too quickly, so it was definitely worth more than 2C. But it's still one that I'm still having to learn about because I'm thinking it doesn't really look like it's worth much more than 2C. I basically just corrupted this to try and get like +1 curse or something. This was a 10 chaos jewel that piece of jewelry that I sold here, and this one I can understand why this one sold. In fact, this could have been worth more looking at it now, but high flat energy shield. I just added some lightning res on there because I didn't want to pay like an X to add. I don't know if this could even have. Oh, it already has percentage ES. Oh, damn. It has percentage ES and flat ES with crit multi and weapon elemental damage. What? I sold this for 10 chaos? This probably was worth more looking at it now. That's why it's helpful to review these trades. But this was probably, yeah, it was probably worth more than 10C. That's a pretty nice amulet. That's a very nice, like, Inquisitor, CI Inquisitor amulet right there. Okay. Alright, yeah, that's probably worth more than 10C. And there's my helmet that I resold. Here's another amulet that I sold for 6 chaos. Very simple, just life, resistances, and rarity. Fire damage may add value, but maybe not. It depends. Like, some people would buy this and just ignore the fire damage. And then there might be like 1 or 2 other guys out there that would like pay an extra couple C for the fire damage. And this is a breach ring that I sold for 6C. Oh yeah, I got it's got 4C up here. I ended up he sent me an offer. I didn't see the offer, and I was like, nah, I want 6C for this because I think it was even potentially worth a bit more than 6C. But yeah, I did end up selling it for actually 6C. So this trade was cancelled. I made a new one for 6 chaos. And the reason why is that this just has very high rarity. You know, it's like basically 40 rarity, which in a breach is 80 rarity, which is basically an Andivarius. So not bad. And on top of that, it has some fire res and a little bit of life because the strength becomes life. That doubled becomes 80 strength. Which is 40 life. So this is a 40 life ring inside a breach. So pretty good, but mostly just for that rarity for like magic fighting breaches. So I sold that for 6 chaos. I did consider using that, but opted against it. Not sure why, thinking about it now. But that does conclude our trades, guys. Not a bad 2 days. I'm sitting on 4x and 200C at the moment, and have put some pretty nice upgrades into my character. Got the Zoph's Blood, which I upgraded myself from running breaches as well, so that was pretty nice. And now we got that Doriani's Catalyst. I'm going to sink into some higher level farming today and see if we can't make some more profits. So I'm gonna check that out, and you guys have good luck with your trades. Have many pleasing social trade interactions. That is going to be it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thank you very much for watching.